What are the open problems in human-level AI? Ray Stromanov mentioned three major problems: reference machine design, search update algorithms, and training sequence design. These are all crucial to achieving high orders of intelligence. How are we going to do it, and what does the update algorithm do here? Well, the incremental learning problem is also known as transfer learning, cumulative learning, or it's basically effective reuse of information that was acquired from this solution of previous problems. And let's give a few simple examples just to get a bit warmed up, right? First you learn how to read letters, and then you put these together to be able to read words. You can learn to ride a bike, and then when you first hop on the motorcycle, it's going to be a lot easier. And if we can learn how to use logic and represent things with it and make inferences, then we can use this mental device to solve a mathematics or puzzle problem, right? And if you want to build something like this chair, first you should learn how to use the tools necessary to be able to achieve this task. Incremental learning is an essential part of intelligence. And just how important is it? We're going to touch upon that a bit. But first, let me show you this pedagogical aid from Solomonov's paper, 8 and 9 paper on incremental learning. That's a concept network. It shows the relations between concepts like a semantic network or this stuff in the societal mind. So as you can see, there can be many orders of concepts, and this is depicting an algorithmic composition, right? So we really mean the higher order concepts. They're like the fifth order, or they're using those simpler algorithms. And what do hard problems require? Like the example with carpentry, first you need to acquire many lower level skills. And there's also intricate domain knowledge. Most domains, are definitely much more complicated than this concept. And this is of course just a personal illustration, just to make us imagine. But there are many primitive concepts, and there are many intermediate and high-level concepts in any non-trivial domain of expertise. And we see that we have to reuse many concepts over and over again to achieve anything near human-level intelligence. In primary school, before we learn how to write, we should learn how to use a pencil. And then we should learn how to draw the straight lines and curved lines and everything. And then we get to those really strange figures of the letters. and then we have to understand how the lettering, handwriting is done, how you should combine it. There are just a lot of things in even the most trivial of human domains. There's a tremendous concept network, and Solomonov solved this to be an essential property of intelligence. And I think one of the most important things in his later research was that he emphasized the importance of incremental learning. And we have a deep concept hierarchy. We don't just have first order concepts like simple primitives and like this one, and we can go straight to ballet, right? To be able to do ballet, you have to do a lot more than moving your limbs a few degrees to the right or left. You will need to exert precise control over your limbs or your balance. You need to understand choreography. Well, how many things do you exactly have to understand to be a good ballet dancer? So that's the problem we're trying to solve. I think transfer learning is a very significant problem in human level AI. And in this conference series, we are not very interested in easy learning problems that have already been solved. We always set our aims high, and we want to solve the problems that the smartest humans can bear to solve, right? So otherwise, what's the point of general intelligence if you're not going to match the best of us? Well, of course, if you have big data, relatively simple models like a random forest method will work extremely well. You'll have very low error. But that doesn't mean it's the end of the road. There's a lot to do. First of all, we want to use few examples. Humans are very good at this. Have you ever been conned by a person? And well, I've had that experience a few times. And you catch a fleeting expression on the man's face, and you understand he's about to tell you a very big lie. How does that happen? That's human level intelligence. And so humans are very good at both pattern recognition and not just pattern recognition, but also solving abstract problems by seeing only a few examples. And well, there is a technical term, one-shot learning, and humans can apparently do this as well. You show a human single picture, and if he studies it, he will learn that face, and he might be able to recognize that face for the remainder of his lifetime. I believe that's an amazing feat, and not something we have fully achieved, by the way. So that's kind of interesting. And of course, we want to solve human-scale complex problems with all the subtleties and non-trivialities of the real world. The dynamic, adaptive, uncertain. There's all kinds of difficult properties of real-world problems. We have to tackle them, and those problems are sometimes very complex, like the problems that, well, the physicist that Sophia was inquired about, Albert Einstein, moving forward from a few puzzling, dazzling experiments, he could formulate a mathematical theory that described the general phenomenon of gravity, which is amazing, but can we match this level of intelligence? And what would it take to get there? And, well, we also want to learn as fast as humans. Perhaps our algorithms aren't learning as fast. And that also has to do with the fact that our current algorithms usually require many examples than a human would. There are also some other limitations of current popular, effective training algorithms, which is that they tend to overfit and underfit in unpredictable ways, and that's perplexing sometimes. But we think, theoretically, we should be able to overcome this by using proper universal induction approximations. Although as Ben mentioned, well, our implementations usually stumble, and they don't work so well for the kinds of problems that I just described. And that's why transfer learning is important, because without incremental learning, human level machine learning tasks are intractable. You can't have all these properties and also have it tractable, be completed in a reasonable amount of time using a reasonable amount of resources. It's just not going to happen. And the reason for it is very simple. Let's think of a super baby, like you combine the intelligence genes of Ben and every crazy mathematician here and make the super baby, but we disable this particular gene that gives the baby a memory. Unfortunately, the super baby will still be retarded because the baby will never be able to scale to the higher order concepts in this concept net, and most interesting domains do have that intricate semantic network. Well, so again, what's transfer learning or incremental learning? The algorithms we are looking for are supposedly going to work on any sort of induction system, predicting sequences, sets, functions of probabilistic functions, which are called operators, and reinforcement learning, program learning, genetic programming, function approximation, predicting any mathematical structure at all. These are some hard problems, and we have to be able to use the transfer learning algorithms of things in any of these problems, not just one. And as an example, I'm going to revisit the operator induction problem. Well, we have a goodness of fit that we're trying to maximize in operator induction, and it's the, is there a pointer? Okay, no problem. Well, the P on the left is the probability of the J operator, and that's of course related to program length, as you know, and the product on the right is just how well the operator fits the data, which is question-answer pairs. So this is just estimating conditional probability density function, which is a fairly general problem. It can, of course, be applied to natural language understanding and things like that. Huh. Okay, thank you.
That one.
All right. So this guy is measuring how do the model we found fits the data, and this guy is the a priori probability of the model, and it's the more complex it is, the less probable it is as usual, and we're just trying to maximize the summation, which means we're trying to find as many models as possible. Of course, we don't want models that don't fit too well, right? But we want to find as many models as possible, because as Warren Minsky said, if you understand something in only one way, you do not really understand it. And that's also part of Solomov's theory.
What is the vertical line with the dot on each side?
I don't understand, sorry, I've been a little sleepy.
What is the vertical line with the dot on each side?
Between
the OJ and the capital
this. These are just, free parameters. They could be X, Y, anything. It's just that. And this is the dependence operator, conditional. And so this is just a probability density function, conditional probability density function. It's like, P y given x.
I
All right.
understand, I know the conditional vertical bar, but I don't know a vertical bar with a dot before and after it.
You mean this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to refer here to the jth operator itself, the function
That's
itself.
part of the variable names?
Okay, well,
The dots are part of the names of the variables, right?
yeah, they are formal parameters in computer
And
science.
they're not part of the bar, they're part of the names of the variables on either side of the bar.
Well, I mean, these could be any variables. That's what it really means. But here I'm referring to the a priori probability of the jth operator, which is a computable probability density function. So we're not referring to the output of this. We're using the output here, right? But we're referring to the function itself here. That's why. It's actually fairly accurate, I think, that notation, but it can be confusing. How does you? Okay, no problem. Oh, okay, that was nice. All right, so conceptual jump size is a simple number that quantifies time it takes for Levin search or universal search to solve an induction problem, approximately. And Levin search is bias optimal, which means it's allocating time according to the a priori probability of each candidate solution. And let's assume we didn't get all these. Okay, well, suppose we're solving operator induction, and we're basically solving this optimization problem, which maximizes, which tries to find as many operators as possible, right? But let's say we just found the shortest one that fits perfectly. So this is going to be like 1. All right. So and in that case, the solution program S is a minimal program that characterizes data. It means we can find a shorter program, and then it's going to be the running time of the solution program times 2 to the power of the length of program S. So it can be a pretty big number depending on the solution. It grows fairly quickly, right? And why this number is important? Because training time is always smaller than or equal to 2 times conceptual jump size, and it's usually going to be, if you use Levin's complete Levin search, is usually going to be between CJS and 2 times CJS. So that's something you can see in experiments. And well, let's talk about computational intractability. Probably most rehashed argument against universal induction is that it's completely intractable. Well, hey, I'm a computer scientist. This is an exponential worst case running time bound, so it's probably not usable. It's just theoretical fiction, right? It cannot possibly work. But well, while that is the case, we see that the brain still manages a great approximation. It does work well, and what the brain does seems to be a great approximation actually, because we know that the brain can learn from a few examples, which is a hallmark of universal induction. And well, the other thing, okay, well, the worst case bound doesn't mean the research is over, right? It rarely means that. If you ever worked on approximations to NP-complete problems, there are usually very clever approximations that get you good results in a feasible amount of time. So well, the same thing could work here. And, well, without memory, without transfer learning or incremental learning, it is intractable. It is not going to work at all. Only save for the simplest problems. So I believe most of the obstacles that Ben mentioned in the previous slide are due to this problem because the memory just isn't there. And that's why I believe incremental learning is an AI axiom. It's not just something nice to have, but something you can't live without. Okay, well, so let's get some of the more hardcore stuff, right? So this is type algorithm, so stories and Schmidt-Huber. It was written in '97. So this is kind of complex to explain. So I'm actually going to give you a high-level overview of each algorithm, so you understand the idea that lies behind it. I think that's better because we're otherwise, well, I'm going to run out of time and you're not going to get it. So we have probabilistic prototype trees, which is an extension of Schmidt-Huber's previous model of probability vector of instructions. And we have this. These are in this model. These are n-array trees. Actually, they use complete trees, and each of these nodes has a probability, and at each node you have these literals and functions, instructions with associated probabilities. So you just, it can be any one of these, and then you can easily sample from this model a program. So this is really, this really specifies, right, a probability distribution of programs. And so, well, each tree is generic code in programming language jargon. And but it's got associated probabilities, so we can sample programs, and so that's what the memory representation here is. Okay, so how does pipe work? It's a genetic programming approach. So it combines program trees. It doesn't use crossover. It mutates prototype trees, so that's kind of meta evolution, right? It's not just evolving the programs, but this thing that generates programs. Got it? So that's important here. That's what gives this algorithm its